going to make today is a steak and kidney pie, but it's going to be slightly different to your traditional steak and kidney pie, obviously, because I'm making it, and there's just a few variations, okay? So I'm making it out of this book again. Ta-da! But I'm going to change it up, and also the ingredients are not exactly what's on here, the portions, okay, because the way I cooked my meat is completely different to the way you're supposed to cook the meat, okay. So I'll just tell you first of all what the ingredients are. So you need some kind of and we're making this with suet pastry, not flaky pastry or short crust pastry. I'm making it with suet pastry because I wanted to have like a suet cover. Instead of making steak and kidney pudding, which I made before, I wanted to make a steak and kidney pie, so that's what we're doing today. So first of all, we're not making the pastry first, we're going to make the pastry while this meat is cooking, okay, because I need the meat to cook more. So first of all, you need 1 pound or 550 grams of stewing steak, diced. Okay, I'm not using stewing steak, obviously, and I'm using 669 grams of top side of beef. And the reason why I'm doing that is because I bought a joint of beef the other day, and the way that I cook my meat now is that I boil it for an hour. So I have it in this pot here, and I boiled it for an hour. So I've cubed it all up. I've done it a couple of days ago, and so it's sort of half cooked, okay? So this is what I do with a lot of my food now, even the pork, when I cook pork, because when I make my belly pork, I do that. The chicken I do, and I boil them for an hour, then I use them for whatever it is I'm going to use them for. But I found this works really, really well, so you might want to try this. So I bought a joint of beef, and that's how much the joint of beef weighed. So I've used the whole thing, so it was 669 grams, the top side of beef, which I've diced up. And then it says here for kidneys, so that is to use 550 grams of stewing steak or whatever, but I'm not using that, obviously, I just told you, and 175 grams of kidneys. I'm using 260 grams of kidneys, which I've already cut up in here, but these are raw, so we're going to cook them first. And then 1 large onion, so I'm using a red onion here. You can use white onion, doesn't really matter. You don't have to put onion in it if you don't want to. And then I've got some oil here, so I'm going to put some oil in this frying pan here because we need to cook up our onions first, okay? So we're going to cook up our onions, so we'll just put that there. And I also have some bisto gravy, which I'm going to mix with my beef stock, which I had used for my boiling of my beef, and I've also got the fat on the top, but you don't have to use the fat, but I always think there's flavour in the fat, so I like to use the fat. But it's gone hard now because it's been in the fridge, okay? And some salt and pepper, okay? So that's it. So we're going to crack on with this part of it, and then while this is cooking, we'll do the pastry, okay? So I hope you enjoy this. So we're going to get all this in this pan and let it cook for a bit. And that's the other thing, because I'm just using a pastry topping and it won't take long to cook, we're going to cook all the ingredients first, so that when we actually put it in the oven, the pastry won't take that long to cook, and all the insides will be cooked already, okay? So a bit different to when you do a steak and kidney pudding. This is my version of cooking it. You can do it like from raw and then cook it up and however you want to cook it, but this is the way I'm doing it, and this is quicker. Okay, so this is a quicker way of doing it. So I'm just going to put the onions in here, in this olive oil, to cook up. And I've already, so because I'm making suet pastry, I've decided that we're not having any potatoes with this. So all we're going to have with this steak and kidney pie is some carrots, which I've already cooked, okay? So, but you can have whatever veg you want, you can have mash or whatever, but I think that suet pastry is very, very filling, so I don't think we need a lot of other stuff to go with it, if you know what I mean. So we're just cooking up these onions, and then we're going to cook up the kidneys, okay? So we're putting the kidneys in with the onions in a minute. You could flour your kidneys, so like put them in flour, salt and pepper, and then use the juice to, that will thicken up, so you don't need to use any gravy granules. But for quickness, I'm doing it with the kidneys just like that. Other times I've done them, I've coated them in flour and cooked them off and done a longer process, but today I'm trying to shorten the process of making this steak and kidney pie, okay? And we're just going to use some gravy. Anyway, so they're cooking, so we just want them to be soft. You don't want them to be brown, okay? You just want your onions to be soft. I might throw a few herbs in here because I do like the taste of herbs. I'm just going to use some mixed herbs, but you don't have to put herbs in at all if you don't want to. You can just keep it simple, okay? But I do like the taste of herbs, and I just think they bring out a bit more flavour, okay? So if you liked the ingredients for this recipe, if you just leave me a comment below, I'll put it up for you. And if you'd like me to make anything else, like comfort food, then just let me know, and I'll endeavour to make it, as long as it's not too hard. Okay? So, they smell really nice. I love the smell of onions cooking. So they're softening nicely now. So I think what we'll do now, we'll add the kidneys, okay? So I've already prepared these because when I buy them in bulk, I already cut them all up and I portion everything out into bags, and then I freeze it. And I tend to do that with a lot of things these days, especially as it's difficult to get to the shops and that. So I like to make sure I don't run out of any food. And I love kidneys, so that's the reason why I've used more kidneys. Plus I've used more meat anyway, because the meat that you use is less, so it sort of weighs it up really. So that's that. So we're just browning these off a bit. Kidneys don't take that long to cook anyway, in my experience. Okay. So I've cooked up the kidneys with the onions in the pan, and what we're going to do now is just add our meat, which we've already cooked for an hour, boiled it for an hour, with some salt and pepper. And you can actually really taste the pepper when you boil it like that. So we're just going to cook this up a bit, stir it up a bit. And then we're going to put the stock in, and we're not going to thicken it yet, we're going to leave the thickening bit till last. So we will put the stock in, and we're just going to cover it up, and then we'll get on and do the pastry while this is cooking. Okay? So I'm going to put this stock in now. So if the stock you need is, I probably should use a bit more actually, because remember I've got a bit more ingredients than what it says on here. It's 450 mils. So I'll start with 450 mils, but I might actually add another 100 mils or so, depending. I'll just work it by eye, and if I see that it's drying out, I'll add some more stock. So we're just going to let that cook now. So I need to cover it up with a lid. So what we do is bring it to the boil and then let it simmer, okay? And we'll add some salt and pepper in a minute once it's simmering. Right, so what we're going to do now is do the pastry. Right, so for the pastry, we're going to use suet. So we're not going to use any other kind of fat, we're using suet today. So this is, I've never made a steak and kidney pie with suet pastry before. First time for everything. So here we go. So what we need, so it says here that you need 175 grams of flour. I'm going to use self-raising flour today, but you can use plain flour. So I've already got the flour in here, I've already weighed it up, and I've already weighed up this suet in here. So it's 110 grams of fat. So it's suet, there you go. And I'm just putting it in there. And then I'm just going to add a bit of salt. So I'm just going to add a bit of salt to our pastry. And you need some water. So I've got some cold water here in a bottle, and you need that just to bind it together. And that's it. So it's 175 grams of flour and 110 grams of fat. You could use a combination of lard and butter and make your own pastry, but I'm just making suet pastry today. So this should be interesting. So we'll see if it works, shall we? So you just put enough water to bind it together. Because remember, the suet is the fat. And I'm using meat suet, but you could use vegetarian suet, but then I don't know why you'd want to do that, seems as you're making a steak and kidney pie, which is meat. But you could do it if you wanted to. But I'm using beef suet. Right, so what we need to do is just bind it together and see if it comes out. This is how I make everything. Most of the time it works. Might put a bit too much water in there. Anyway, we'll add a bit more flour to that, I think. Put too much water in it. Got a bit carried away there. So I'm just going to add a bit more flour. Just made it a bit wet. Right. So suet is what you make dumplings with as well. So if you like dumplings, my partner likes dumplings in a stew. But today we're having steak and kidney pie. So we'll see what it's like, shall we? So I reckon the meat, so remember I boiled it for an hour. I reckon it might take about half an hour or so. We'll see how it goes. Because remember, I'm going to cook it a bit on the top first, and then it's also going to be cooked in the oven. So, right, so that's all right. So there's our pastry. Pull up my sleeves. One sleeve. So we're going to just, we don't need to roll it out yet because the meat's not cooked. So you could just put this in the oven, not in the oven, put this in the fridge for a little while, okay, until you need it. So that's probably what I'm going to do. So I'm just putting it together and then I'm going to put it back in this bowl and I'll just put it in the fridge until I need it, okay? And that's it, the pastry's done. So suet pastry, okay? So I'll just put that in there. Right, I'll be back in a minute when I put the rest of the ingredients in the steak and kidney pie, okay? Hello again, Sue back again from Sue's Dog Broth Mind Kitchen. And I just wanted to mention a couple of things, what it says in this book, okay? Because this is the process to make it is on top of the cooker like this, and it takes roughly 2 hours. But remember, I've already cooked the meat for an hour, so it should only take another hour to cook the meat, or until tender. And then it says here, you need to use a 1.5 litre, a 1.2 litre, or 2 pint pie dish. So I've just measured this one. And this is 2 pints, so that's 1.2 litres, so that's how much this is. So that's the correct size that we need. And so what you need to do is you let that cook, and then you let it cool down, but I won't be able to let it cool down because I need to hurry up and make this pie. So as soon as it's cooked, I will be putting the pastry on the top, so this should be interesting. But you should let it cool down. It also says about the onion is to use a whole onion. Add the whole onion to the liquid if you want to, but I've cut up my onion. But if you don't want to do that, add a whole onion, and then before you put it into your pie dish, you take the onion out, okay? And you don't have the onion in it, but I like onion in my pie, so I've cut up my onion, but you don't have to. And then the oven temperature, so once you put your lid on your pastry, you need to coat it with some egg, okay? So you brush on some egg, and then you've got to bake it in the centre of the oven, 220 degrees, 425 degrees Fahrenheit, or gas mark 7 for 20 to 25 minutes until the pastry has risen well, okay? Then lower the heat to moderate to moderately hot, 180 to 190 degrees. If you want these temperatures, just let me know and I'll put them below the video as well as the recipe, okay? 350 to gas mark 4 or 5 for a further 10 to 15 minutes, and heat the remaining gravy. Add a little extra liquid if too thick, then pour into a sauce boat, okay? So there we are. So what I'm going to do now is just add the salt and pepper. So I'll just bring it over here so you can see. So it's been boiling away for about 10 minutes now. So I'm just going to add, just give it a stir. So I've just got it in this liquid, and what I'm going to do is keep an eye on it and put some more liquid in if needed. It's really cold in my kitchen, so there's loads of steam. So I'm just going to add, I'll take these glasses off because I can't see very well with them on. Put some salt in. So this Himalayan salt has got a really lovely taste, and it's not very strong. You know, like you can't seem to put too much in, if you know what I mean. A couple of pinches of ground black pepper. So I've already ground mine up in that little pot. So I'm fed up with my grinders now, they're all broken. So I've just ground it up in my grinder and put it, well, you know, in my little black grinder, rather than keep using those stupid, you know, salt things, pepper pot things. And I'm going to add a couple of pinches of mixed herbs. You don't have to add the herbs, but I just like the flavour of the herbs. I think it gives it a bit more of interest. You could also put some Worcester sauce in it if you wanted to give it a different flavour as well. You don't just have to stick to the rules, you can do what you like, it's your pie. So I'm going to put it back on the cooker now, and we'll be back once that is softened, and we're going to put it in the pie. Hello, Sue here again from Sue's Dog Rub My Kitchen, and I just wanted to show you the progress of my steak and kidney pie. So I've been boiling the steak and kidney pie, well, simmering it now on the cooker for about 35 minutes, and I've had to add a bit more liquid because it used up most of the liquid. So now what I'm going to do is just thicken it up with some gravy granules basically. So we're going to thicken the liquid. I just tested the meat and it's really nice and tender now. So the extra bit of cooking, so remember I boiled the beef for an hour a couple of days ago, and then I've cut it up today and I've cooked the kidneys and I've added the beef, and it's really tender now. So a little tip if you want to save some time, just boil your beef a few days before, put it in the fridge and just forget about it until you want to actually cook your main dish. So that's what I do. I buy joints of meat and just cook them up. Right, so I'm going to add some gravy, so probably, we'll see. I'm going to start off with 2 dessert spoons, and then we'll just thicken it up and see how thick it goes. I like it quite thick, but I like it really juicy as well, so you've got some nice gravy. So what I want to do is probably just tip some of this out if there's too much. So best to make too much, and then what I can do is just put it through a sieve a little bit, and then with that gravy I can just pour over the top of the dinner once it's done. So I might even add a bit more, just another spoon or two, and make it quite like liquidy, just so that I can actually take some off. And while that's boiling up there and thickening up, we'll test it as we go. We'll start on the pastry, okay? So I've got so you need a bit of flour to flour your board with, and I'll just keep an eye on that while I'm doing this, okay? And if I see it starting to boil up a bit, I'll turn it down a bit. So flour your board. So I've had this in the fridge since I made it, so that was about half an hour ago or so. I'm just going to turn that down a little bit before I get my hands really dirty. Right, I'm just going to give it a stir and see how thick it goes. And if it's not thick enough, I'll add some more gravy granules. So on this part you can make it as thick or as however you like it really. So I like it quite juicy with lots of liquid in it, and also I want to strain off some of the liquid as I just said. Okay, so I'm just going to leave that there, and we're going to just roll out our piece of pastry. And we need to put it on the rolling pin, not just the board, otherwise it might stick. And just roll it, and then we'll just leave it for a second on the side. But this might be a bit difficult, so best to let your meat get cold first, but I haven't got time for that. I need to hurry up and do this because this is our dinner today, and I'm getting really hungry now. Because most of the time when I do my videos I'm actually making my dinner. I'm actually making these videos to eat the food, not just to put it in the fridge. Sometimes I'm just doing it to put in the fridge, but 99% of the time is to eat it, like there and then. So that's about the right size. So we're just going to leave that there, because I don't know, I'm just going to tip the meat in here in a minute, and then we're going to put that on. Right, so I think we need to put a bit more gravy in there. So I'm going to add another 2 dessert spoonfuls, because I do like it quite thick. It looks really tasty. It smells absolutely gorgeous. Just like that. It's not very complicated, is it? And then just smooth it out a bit. That's it. And then what I'm going to do, just a little thing, is just put a little pot in the middle to hold up the pie lid so it doesn't collapse in on the juice. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. So there's the pie mix. So it's looking really good. It smells absolutely gorgeous. I'm just going to taste it, and hopefully I'll get a bit of kidney, because I love kidneys. That's yummy. What I'm going to do is use 2 of these pots. I'm just going to put them in the pie. I know this seems nuts, but it actually holds up the pie lid, because I've got a lot of juice in there, and I do not want this to collapse in on itself, because of if you let this go cold it wouldn't be a problem, but because I'm putting it on top of a hot dish it would just sink straight in, and then it would just flood, and you wouldn't have a crispy top, you would just have a flooded mess. So I'm just going to put some water around the edge of the pie dish so that it makes the it stick to the edge of the pie dish. Okay. Right, so we're just going to put some water around the edge. So what we're going to do is put some water around the inside and some water around the outside. Okay. Okay, that's it. And I'm going to use my rolling pin to pick up my pastry. I do make a mend hole there because I've made a bit of a mess. It's quite soft, this Suet pastry. So any holes you make, just patch them up like I'm just doing. Remember, this mixture's hot, so it would have been better to have let it cool down first and probably left your pastry in the fridge overnight. So, but I like doing everything on the spur of the moment, so that doesn't happen with me, I'm afraid. But if you was more organised, you could do it overnight. So we're going to use this excess pastry to go around the edge again. You'll see what I'm on about. Okay. Right, so what we're going to do with this excess pastry, this doesn't look very pretty, but it won't matter. Just go around the edge and just push it around the edge. So you've got like a double edge, because what will happen, it'll sort of collapse in on itself because I haven't let it cool down. You'll see, it'll be fine. It just, you know, won't win any awards for beauty. Anyway, it tastes good. So I'm just going to use all of this pastry and keep going around the edge. And then I'll try and crimp it, but it might be a bit difficult because this pastry is really, really, really soft. So I'm just going to keep going around the edge. Make sure it's overhanging the pie. Okay, so I'm going to keep putting it on till I've used it all. No waste. It might not look beautiful, but it will taste amazing. I hope. I hope. Anyway, that looks good. So we're just filling any little holes, and what we'll do is we'll crimp it a bit, and then I'll show you what it looks like. So don't worry about the bit overhanging. Oh, it might not crimp very well because it's very gooey. I'll try. Don't really matter. As long as it's done, I can get it in the oven and we can eat it. That's the main thing. I'm sure it's going to taste delicious. It looks great. Says she. I'm going to make some holes in so it can breathe. Get the steam out. And there we are. So, it's not the prettiest pie. Right, now I need an egg because I need to make an egg wash to go on the top. Forgot about that bit. I've got spoilt chicken, spoilt dog, spoilt lamb, spoilt. I get loads of really nice food. And a spoilt man because he gets really nice food as well. He's lucky I love cooking. Right, now I'll show you what it looks like because it's quite funny. Let me just show you, and then we'll just pop it in the oven. Remember how long I said? I think it was, let me check again. Right, so you've got to put it in the oven for 20 minutes. That's gas mark 7. I'm saying gas mark because that's what my oven is. And then you lower it to gas mark 4 or 5. Okay, if you want to know that, I'll let you know. Anyway, so that's it. So we've got to get it in the oven because the pastry is collapsing onto the pie. So let's get it in the oven quick. And I'll show you again once it's cooked. Okay, so I'll see you again once it's cooked. Hello, Sue here again from Sue's Dog Broadmouth Kitchen with the last instalment of the steak and kidney pie that I've made today with my suet pastry. So I'm really happy. I've literally just taken it out the oven and I just want to show it to you. So there it is. It looks glorious. Wow. Not sure about the two humps. Probably could have done with just one in the middle, but it did do the job, which was to hold up the pastry. So it did work. So I'm just going to take it off of here and put it on here so I can cut it. There, okay, that's done. Put that back up there. Wow, it looks amazing. Yummy. I can't pick it up again because it's not on the hot plate now and it's really hot. So anyway, what we're going to do is just cut a portion. I don't even think I need a knife for that pastry. I think it's going to be really soft. And we've got to go around these cup things. Wow, it's crispy. You hear that? So let's figure this out, how to cut it. This should be interesting. So it might not look the greatest when I cut it because I've got to cut it round these weird cups that I put on. Hold on. Wow, it smells delicious. Wow, look at that. Nice bit of pastry there. Wow, let's just grab a bit. I'll get the cup out. Wow. I'll show it to you in a minute. I'm going to just try and get one of these cups out of here. So there's pastry on the top of the cup. That's quite funny, isn't it? So I'll let that cool down before I try and get it off of there. It's really, really, really hot. So I'll just leave that there. Ow! Right, so now I can get to the meat. Whoa, looks delicious. Right, that should be enough for a portion. Oh, it's lovely. Won't look the greatest, but I don't think I needed the cups really. I think it would have held up on its own. So I won't do that next time. I'll just let it sit on there. But then I'll try and do it when it's, you know, cooled down the way you're supposed to. It's rather a large portion. So I'll just portion out some carrots. So we're only having carrots in the pie I just made. So that's all we're having. We're not having any potatoes. So, and remember this is suet pastry. So we're just having some carrots and the steak and kidney pie. So I'll just have a few carrots. That's probably enough. And I'll put some gravy over. Wow, look at that. Ooh. I reckon this is going to taste absolutely amazing. I need to taste the actual, that's my partner. See, I'm just about to take the dinner up in a minute. I'm going to taste it. It tastes just like steak and kidney pudding. Except for it's crusty instead of like, you know, steak and kidney pudding's all soft and not crusty. But this is great. I love it. I definitely will make this again. I like this suet pastry a lot. Really, really nice. And you could just make a vegetarian version. Vegetarian meat, vegetarian pastry, or just a vegetarian pie, you know, a vegetable pie, and use the vegetable suet. Oh, this is wonderful, says she, piling it on her plate. So anyway, I know the lid doesn't look great because it didn't come out, you know, because I put these cup things on, but I think I could have got away with just doing one, but I'm just going to let that cool down. I'll put it back in the pie because the pie is that's it. We're not having anything else, so that's that. So there we are, that's mine. So we're having steak and kidney pie with carrots. Simple food. Nice and comforting for a nice cold evening, which it is today. It's absolutely freezing cold outside. So this is really nice comfort food. And we're just about to have it. So I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you did, please give me a like and a thumbs up. And subscribe to my channel and tell your friends and family about my channel, please. And if there's anything you would like me to cook, then leave a comment below. If you want me to put up the recipe for this pie, then just let me know and I'll put it up for you. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you again soon. So bye for now. Bye.